Off the coast of Antarctica, deep underwater, researchers have discovered the British ship called Endurance, the vessel that launched one of the most remarkable stories of survival and determination.
For decades of years, people were able to jump on a cruise ship and just enjoy the magnificence of our world's nature in different places. But before this became reality, there were those who sailed beyond the horizon, not knowing what they were going to find.
Better listen.
Our story begins with Ernest Shackleton, Irish Antarctic explorer who led 3 British expeditions to the Antarctic. He was one of the main figures of the period known as Heroic Age of Antarctic exploration. After the race to the South Pole ended in December 1911 with Roald Amundsen's conquest, Shackleton turned his attention to the crossing of whole Antarctica continent. To this end, he made preparations for what became the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition in 1914 to 1917. Starting with the ship itself named Endurance, which his name would carry on this heroic story about persistence and determination of the bravest men who above else cared about the lives of their crew members. Launched on 17th of December 1912 in Norway, and at the time considered as one of the strongest wooden ships ever built, but unfortunately, after nearly 2 years failing to succeed as a tourist attraction, therefore sold to Ernest Shackleton. And right after it began, Shackleton published details of his new expedition, grandly titled the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition early in 1914. There's a story that Shackleton posted an advertisement which emphasized the hardship and danger of the voyage so that he could better narrow down and select candidates for his expedition. Endurance departed from South Georgia Island for the Weddell Sea on December 5, 1914, heading for the Washoe Bay. As the ship moved southward, navigating in ice, first-year ice layer was encountered, which slowed the progress. For weeks, Endurance worked her way through the pack, averaging less than 50 kilometers per day. Deep in the Weddell Sea, conditions grew worse. The ice was different from what had been encountered before, and the ship was soon amongst the thick layer of it. And with all the struggle of going forward, in January 19, 1915, Endurance became completely frozen in an ice layer. On February 24th, realizing that the ship would be trapped until the following spring, Shackleton ordered the abandonment of the ship's routine and her conversion to the winter station. The ship drifted slowly to north with the ice through the following months. When autumn arrived in September, the breaking of the ice and its later movements put extreme pressures on the ship's hull. Until this point, Shackleton had hoped that the ship, when released from the ice, could work her way back towards their destination. But on October 24th, water began pouring in, and after a few days, Shackleton gave the order to abandon the ship, saying she is going down, and men with all the equipment were transferred to the camps on the ice. On 21st of November 1915, the wreck had finally slipped beneath the surface. For almost 2 months, Shackleton and his party camped on a large drifting ice piece, hoping that it would drift towards Paulet Island, approximately 400 kilometers away, where it was known to be visited by various expeditions. Unfortunately, on April 9th, their ice floe broke into 2, and Shackleton ordered the crew into lifeboats and to head for the nearest land. After 5 struggling days at sea, the exhausted men landed their 3 lifeboats on Elephant Island, 550 kilometers away from where Endurance sank. Elephant Island was an inhospitable place, far from any shipping or tourism routes. Rescue by means of lucky discovery was very unlikely. Finally, Shackleton decided to risk an open boat journey to the over 1,300 kilometer distant South Georgia Island, where he knew help was available. The strongest of the tiny 6-meter lifeboat, named James Caird, was chosen for the trip. Shackleton refused to pack supplies for more than 4 weeks, knowing that if they did not reach South Georgia within that time, the boat and its crew would be lost. The James Caird was launched on 24 April 1916. During the next 15 days, it sailed through the waters of Southern Ocean, at the mercy of the stormy seas, freezing temperatures, high winds, and massive waves. And on 8th May, thanks to Worsley's navigation skills, the cliffs of South Georgia came into sight. The following day, they were able to finally land on the unoccupied southern shore. Shackleton decided to attempt a land crossing of the island. He traveled around 50 kilometers with Worsley and Crean over dangerous mountainous terrain for 36 hours to reach the whaling station and Stromness on 20 of May. Shackleton immediately sent a boat to pick up the 3 men from the other side of the island, while he set to work to organize the rescue of the Elephant Island men. Shackleton assembled a volunteer crew which had it ready to sail by the morning of 22 May. As the vessel approached Elephant Island, they saw that an impenetrable 100-kilometer barrier of pack ice had formed in front of their destination, and with all of these attempts, Shackleton failed to reach his crew. By now, it was mid-August, more than 3 months since Shackleton had left Elephant Island. Shackleton begged the Chilean Navy to lend him Yelcho, a small steam tug that was perfect icebreaker at the time. They agreed. On 25th August, Yelcho set out for Elephant Island. This time, fate was in their favor. The seas were open, and the ship was able to approach. Around 12 a.m. on August 30, the camp was spotted, and within an hour, all of the Elephant Island party were safely aboard the ship. For over 100 years, this story was set as an example of respect, dedication, and true leadership. And after all this time, only one thing needed to be done. Thanks for watching.